Okay, we're live. Hello and welcome to our Hangout on Air. I'm Mary Beth at the Law of Attraction Club, and we are on the web at theloaclub.com. Today is the start of week 4, I believe, of our money challenge. It's day 22, call number 10. And the topic is a user's guide to life on Earth, the virtual reality. You can get invites to our open calls, which we offer periodically, and our powerful free letting go process by going to the loaclub.com. So now Robin is going to be bringing through Tara for us, so we welcome all of them to the call. Over to you.
Welcome to day 22, call number 10. We're heading into the home stretch, the last week of our 4-week Make More Money challenge. For a bit of fun, we're going to read some excerpts from our User's Guide to Living Life. Not the whole book, or we'd be here all day, but some excerpts from the introduction and some of the chapters, including the chapter on manifesting particular things, which is, of course, relevant to our prosperity focus this month. We're going to go back to where you became you, to this place where time doesn't exist. Then we're going to move to the beginning of time. And yes, we mean that literally, because time only exists within this virtual reality you've created. And the game starts when you began to play and ends when you finish playing. For some of you, that might seem at first like a wild idea. And so we say, hang on to your hats and follow along with us here, because this is not just esoteric detail. It's how you create everything in your experience and how you can change any of it by making different choices. This is law of attraction explained as you may never have heard it explained before. So here we go. A user's guide to life on Earth, the virtual reality. Introduction. This user guide is for those about to play one of the infinitely varied versions of the virtual reality game called life. In this manual, we will begin with the foundational instructions that are generic to all versions. And then, because it seems some of you conscious entities already playing in the version called Life on Earth have lost your instruction manual, much of what follows will be specific to that particular version. Now, we know that this is a much sought after version of the game because it's high contrast and enormously captivating and exciting. However, therein lies a potential trap. And we caution you that conscious entities like you have been known to get so mesmerized by it that they forget who they are. And yes, we know this is going to sound incredible, but some actually lose sight of why they started playing in the first place. If you're already in the game, you may identify with those words. So before you start, or if you've already started and all else has failed and you've lost your way, remember this sacred principle, RTFM. Read the frigging manual. Now let's look at some excerpts from the chapters called Before Time Began, After Time Began, and How to Manifest New Things. Before time began. Can you see that before time began, you were? You always were, and you always will be. You're a timeless consciousness. We're a timeless consciousness. We're all part of the collective consciousness of Source. Source is like a river. And we are all tributaries that feed into and flow from that river. We're all part of the endless stream that is God. This is the only thing that's fundamentally true about us all, timelessly and non-physically. At our essence, we exist only as a consciousness. Your desires and choices create you out of that river of source. Our desires and choices create us. As you and we make new choices, we reversion ourselves. And those new, new versions exist within a new matching context that mirrors our beliefs and expectations. We're a part of your matching context, even as you are a part of ours. We are all individuations of source, experiencing each other, mixing it up with each other, and exploring possibilities. Everything is as we choose it to be. Some things we experience are more wanted and some less wanted. And it's the contrast between those that stimulates our desires and leads to an infinite range of new and joyous creative choices. This is the game. Are you beginning to understand this essence that you are? Can you see that what creates you and recreates you is new desires and new choices? Can you also see that there is no body and no entity that sits in judgment of any of that? Because there is no hierarchy and therefore no such judging entity exists. You are source. And your only purpose is to experience the joy of creating new things, whatever they may be. And of course, ultimately, it's not about the things. It's about experiencing the creative process. You exist, as we do, for the fun of it all. You know the choice is yours, and you follow your heart. So in this timeless realm, where you can simultaneously see all versions of all stories from beginning to end, can you see that the contrast is not going to be wide or very intense? It's sort of like you've always seen the end of the movie. Actually, it's more than that. It's like each moment in time is a frame of that movie. And you can pick up the movie reel and look at any frame in any place in the beginning, middle, or end of the story. We remain in timelessness. And even though these intersections between us occur on different days in a week in your time realm, we see them all at once. So our contrast is less. But we remain in awe of you who have embarked upon this magnificent story. Through countless choices and new versions, we watch you follow your heart to greater contrast and greater adventure, until you find yourself at the doorway to this new virtual reality called life on Earth. And you step through, and time begins. And oh wow, what a difference. All of the timeless essence of you still exists as always. That can never change. But here you are with a totally different shape to your consciousness. You have a thinking mind that can handle only one thing at a time, and a much more capable subconscious mind. Your thinking mind lacks the power to handle all the sensory input you're getting. So your subconscious watches and learns. You learn to walk, and it takes over the job and walks you. You learn to talk, and it talks you. You learn to drive, and it drives you. You couldn't function without it. And as we discussed last week, it learns things like what you can't afford and skips past those items. Once it has you down, it's a powerful maintainer of the status quo. It keeps you in the groove you've established, including, of course, many of those past decisions you made that are no longer serving you. And along the way, as we explained in the introduction, in this fascinating and engaging game, it's quite easy to forget who you are and the power you have to change anything. And if you're reading this guide, chances are that you're one of those forgetful ones, and you find yourself in a matching version of the world where almost everyone has forgotten. And then this virtual reality of yours starts to look like it's real, and you're stuck with it. So you practice the idea that it's real, and that practicing teaches your subconscious that it's real. Then you practice not knowing how powerful you are, and that renders you powerless. And so you do the best you can. You struggle and you work hard. And you come up with all sorts of complicated explanations about why you're here, and you develop strategies to survive as best you can. But deep in that soul of yours, you still know who you are. And then your questions carry you into this intersection with us. And here we are at your reawakening, rejoicing in being able to mix it up with you and give you our perspective. And now, because of this time thing you've created, let's skip ahead to an excerpt from How to Manifest New Things. Your life has been a succession of belief choices. Consciously in your thinking mind, where all your new choices are made, you choose an idea to believe. You refine that choice and you practice that choice, and your subconscious mind accepts it. That steps you into a new version of you and your context, the physical you and the physical world around you. That's your new virtual reality. Then you hang out in it. And that simple act of living in it and accepting it as a fact of life re-practices and reinforces the idea that it's real. Over time, that forms into a complex tapestry of expectations about everything. It has momentum. So how do you overcome that momentum to make a new choice? You could step away from it, believing that you can make that new choice. Then make that new choice. Then affirm that it's your new choice. And step back into a new version of you and your world. That would be like, everything can change in an instant. But for many of you, you get held up in the believing part of that. The old idea of reality is just too strong. So you stay in the world and start a change process. It's a bit tricky because it's like redesigning the ship at the same time as you're living in it and sailing along on it. You're sort of saying to your subconscious in 1 minute, change this piece, and in the next minute acting as if it's real. It's a mixed message. The good news is your natural inclination is towards your power. Your natural state is well-being. So as you focus on the new idea and set your intention for change, so the natural forces that work in this realm of yours will align you with that new choice. It may not be instantaneous, of course, but if you keep the rudder turned, the ship will turn. So let's step away from the user guide and do a bit of rudder turning. Get quiet in your mind here and follow along. Keep us with you. Feel us as though we are within you, because we're coming with you on this journey right now. We're going to use money as a vehicle for our journey. It's not about money, of course. It's about power and freedom. But let's use the idea of money. Think of an amount that would satisfy your every need. Maybe $100 million. Now, imagine how your life would be if you had that money. Think of all the things you would do. Some of them for others, perhaps. But it's really all about you. You deserve it. Be frivolous. Have fun. Get into it. Good. Now take all that stuff and watch where your mind goes as we move things to the present by asking, what if the money arrives tomorrow? Are you astonished? Does your dream shatter? Do you rejoice with yes? Whatever reaction you had tells you where you are in turning the ship. Remember at all times commandment number 4. Thou shalt not ever beat up on thyself. It matters not where you are. The only question worth asking is, what do I want now? You have desires. Allow them and follow them. Commit to change. Recommit to change. Set your focus and intention. The ship will turn. There is nothing you cannot have, do, or be. And now we'll close our hangout with a little poem for you. You can choose that life's a breeze. Choose your haves and do's and be's. Everything is as you please. Money, it seems, does grow on trees. Good.
All right. Robin and Tara have been having a lot of fun this week. And that was very full of all kinds of things that I want to remember. So I'm going to listen to it again. But now let's go over to our longer discussion. And